Welcome back, everybody, and in today's video, we are going to preview the Week 2 matchup between the San Francisco 49ers, and we will be traveling to New Orleans to take on the Saints. There is a lot of different storylines to talk about here, so let's not waste any time. We'll get right into it after the intro. In Week 2 NFL action, the San Francisco 49ers travel to the Big Easy, New Orleans, to take on the Saints. The game will kick off at 10 a.m. Pacific time, so you're waking up on Sunday morning, and it's going to be time for 49er football. So Week 1, the 49ers, we got the win, of course, at Seattle, 17-13, really close game. A number of mistakes across the board by the 49ers, plus some injuries that we're going to talk about. However, we still came away with the win in Seattle, thanks in huge part to the defense. Now, the New Orleans Saints, they did lose their Week 1 game, their home opener against the Arizona Cardinals, of course, NFC West division rivals of the 49ers. That game, they lost 20-13. Seemed, from my just kind of general observations of the game, seemed like the Saints, were quite conservative offensively, like they were quite scared to make a mistake. Both teams, though, there's some big news coming out after Week 1. The 49ers, so Brock Purdy is very, very unlikely to play in this game against the Saints. Possible turf toe type injury. I think he'll be out for a couple of weeks. George Kittle has been put on short-term IR, so he will be out for 4 weeks, and of course, he will miss this game. Jauan Jennings right now kind of questionable to play. You really hope he can go out there. Plus, you get Kendrick Bourne with Ricky Pearsall, and that's a okay wide receiver core, and Ricky Pierce, although he is emerging. Let's take a look at the Saints, though. The Saints, they are missing a couple of key players who have not practiced. They haven't been ruled out, but it's looking more unlikely that they'll play on Sunday. So that's Talisé Fuanga, the right tackle for the Saints, former first-round pick. Trevor Penning, I believe, was a first-round pick. He's their starting left guard. He's looking possibly to be out. You look at Chase Young, of course, 2023, we traded for Chase. Edge player, pretty good player, and he has not been practicing this week. For certain, safety Julian Blackmon, someone who I actually kind of thought the Niners might look into in free agency, he is going to be out for this game. So the Saints missing some guys on the offensive line, missing an edge player and a safety. Could those be some key losses? We'll have to wait and see. We look back to Week 1 just a week ago. Let's take a look and see how the Saints offense did. So Spencer Rattler is their quarterback. He went 27 for 46, 214 yards. Very, very conservative. Didn't seem to take any risks. When you look at their longest pass of the day, I think was maybe 15 to 20 yards. So I guess the kind of MO for that game was for Spencer Rattler, don't turn the ball over, don't make any mistakes, and hopefully with the run game that they'll score enough. Now, Alvin Kamara did get into the end zone on 11 carries for 45 yards, but it clearly just wasn't enough. And I think that the Saints maybe go in a little bit of a different direction against the 49ers. If we look at who they were targeting in the past game, though, you were looking at Jawan Johnson, the tight end, kind of out of nowhere, had 11 targets in the game. Chris Olave, who we know, first-round pick a few years ago out of Ohio State, he had 13 targets. So those are your two guys on the short intermediate passes. Spencer Rattler is going to be looking for those guys. The guy to look out for, though, or to watch out for is Rashid Shaheed, the wide receiver. He's a deep threat, and I think that the Saints will not hesitate in this game to air it out a little bit. They saw what happened last week, playing a bit more conservative. The Cardinals were just a little bit too much for them, and they just weren't able to put points on the board, only 13 points. So I do think the Saints will take maybe 3 shots downfield. Spencer Rattler, let's see what kind of arm he's got and see if they can hit Rashid Shaheed for a big gain. So the Niners do have to be ready for that. In the run game, though, I think if the Niners can do something similar to what we did last week, we did a really good job against the Seahawks run, especially towards the end of the first half and the second half. We're going to need a repeat performance of that. Alvin Kamara still showing that he's got some moves on his 18-yard touchdown run, I believe, breaking some tackles. So we're going to have to be guys like D. Winters and Fred Warner, safeties Marquise Siegel, Jason Pinnock. They are going to have to just like no missed tackles. Even if you can kind of slow the running back down, allow someone else to come in and help and get the tackle. Overall, though, I think it's like, what do the 49ers defense do against the Saints offense? Spencer Rattler doesn't have a whole bunch of starts under his belt, and I think that they will air it out a little bit more. So what you want to see, and now they're missing 2 offensive linemen, so I think you're going to see some different blitz packages from Robert Saleh. He showed that in week 1. He showed a little bit of that in preseason. I wouldn't be shocked to see some like nickel blitzes, a lot of stunts and movement on the defensive line to mix up the offensive linemen, because again, there's going to be 2 new guys on that offensive line for the Saints. How are they going to be able to handle that with the pressure? And the Niners are having some good coverage down the field too. But I think you want to force Rattler to make mistakes. Rattler, you got to get him rattled a little bit. And I think the Niners have the capability to do that. Bosa was an absolute menace week 1. And then you've seen guys, some contributions from Bryce Huff, Sam Okuwanu, Michael Williams. So you're going to need a little bit more, I think, out of those other guys. Bosa was really good. But if you can get some kind of pressure, make him have to make quick decisions and get him uncomfortable, I think the 49ers can force some turnovers. You slow down the run and bam, I think the Niners are in business. I do like the Niners defense against this Saints offense. The one thing that, again, we have to be prepared for is don't be shocked to see Spencer Rattler try and air it out and just really test this 49ers secondary. If you look at the Saints defense, they are coached by Brandon Staley, former head coach, former DC for the LA Rams. We're in a 3-4 defense. Some of the big kind of name guys on that defense, you have Cam Jordan and Demario Davis. Both guys a little bit older. They're both 36 years old. However, it's early in the season. Bodies are still relatively fresh, so I don't think that's going to play a massive factor. If you look in week 1 to Cam Jordan, 1.5 sacks. Another edge player for them, Granderson, 1.5 sacks. It's one of those things where they are not afraid to blitz the quarterback, and we have to be ready. It's going to be Mac Jones out there, so I think Shanahan has to dial up an offense that when we do go to pass the ball, you're going to have guys like McCaffrey, Juszczyk, Brian Robinson, or whoever in the flat, ready to be able to catch a quick pass, to be able to adjust, recognize the blitz is coming, quick pass, get it out, and hopefully you break tackles and get a big gain. Overall, I just see this when I look at the Saints defense, it looks really just solid. Dalvin Godchaux, Brian Brzee on the defensive line. They have veteran linebackers, Demario Davis, you got Pete Werner. Secondary is not bad. Kool-Aid McKinstry, Justin Reed, and then 49er from last year, Isaac Yiadom. So solid guys. Most of these guys have kind of been around the league for a while, so they're not going to see anything they haven't really seen before. But the big thing when it comes to the 49ers offense is look at what the Cardinals did last week. They averaged over 5 yards per rush on 27 rushes. I think the Niners need to emulate that. If we can have that kind of success, don't put the weight of the offense on Mac Jones's shoulders. Have an effective run game. That's going to really, you're going to bring some of the guys in towards the box, and then bam, you can hit them deep with a throw. Use your wide receivers, Ricky Pearsall, Jawan Jennings, hopefully, Kendrick Bourne, who we brought in, McCaffrey in the pass game, MVS maybe on clear out routes just to create some open space in the intermediate routes. But I do think the Niners offense is going to be predicated on get the run game going. If we can establish the run game, really like our chances, because that way when it comes to play action, the defenders are going to have to freeze, think for a second. That's going to give Mac Jones some time in the pocket. And although Mac Jones is far from the best quarterback in the NFL, you give any NFL quarterback some time back there in a Kyle Shanahan offense, I do think that he can have some success. Look, ever since, the news has come out that Brock Purdy's going to miss this game, basically, George Kittle's been out. This game, I think, is going to be a lot closer than what a lot of 49er fans would have expected compared to if you asked us this question a week ago. We thought that if I knew that Brock Purdy and George Kittle were playing this game, I think that the Niners probably win by maybe 10 plus points. Now it's a completely different story. The other thing that we need to talk about very quickly is these special teams. These special teams for the 49ers in week 1 was absolutely dreadful. Like, it was not good enough at all. It was actually ranked by EPA, but it was not even close. It was the worst special teams performance of week 1 in the NFL. So in some ways, we're just picking up right where we left off last season. However, I think we can only get better from here, hopefully. Eddie Pinheiro is going to be the kicker for the 49ers, so hopefully we see improvements there. I think when it comes to the punt game, that we just need to clean up the penalties. We had penalties on a punt return, on a holding, I believe, which was like a pooch punt. It was like a 30-yard punt, so I don't know. It was clearly going to be a fair catch, or you'd let it bounce into the end zone. So I don't know how there was a holding on that. And then when it comes to, actually on punt coverage, getting flags there. So we just got to clean up the special teams. I'm not asking the special teams to be top 5 in the NFL. If the special teams are okay, then I really do like the 49ers in this game and also moving forward. So when it comes to some of the keys to victory for the 49ers, I think offensively, you got to establish the run. Don't put the game on Mac Jones' shoulders. Of course, he's going to have to make throws. Of course, there's no question about that. And I do think he's capable of making those throws. Mac Jones has played a decent amount of football in his career. He's not a rookie that you're trotting out there. He's not Brandon Allen that you're trotting out there. He's been with us for the entire offseason. Clearly, we feel comfortable with him in the offense. He looked pretty good in preseason, made some nice throws. So I'm not going to say that I'm overly confident in Mac Jones, but I'm relatively confident in him just being able to manage the offense. And I think that's what we're going to do. So establish the run game, and then we can hit him on play action. Defensively, we got to do what we did basically against Seattle. Got to just be able to just stop the run. And I think then you can rattle Spencer Rattler, force him to make some mistakes. I think Saleh is going to throw a lot of different exotic blitzes and also just coverage, packages, like different types of coverages. So Rattler's going to have to stand back there. He's going to have to think about what he's seeing. It's not going to be a lot of just man-to-man, okay, is my guy getting open or not? Do I move on to the next read? I think if you have a lot of different, disguises in coverage, confuse Rattler, I think he can make mistakes. And if you can slow down the run, bam, I think the 49ers are in business. Overall, yes, like I said a bit earlier, if you asked me a week ago, what do I think the score would be? I'd probably have the Niners winning by 10 to 14 points. Now it's going to be a little bit different. So I do have the 49ers winning this game against the Saints. I'm going to say the final score is going to be 24-17 to the San Francisco 49ers. One other thing that we need to touch on super quickly when it comes to success for the 49ers is going to be improving the red zone. Now, when you look at last season, it was just really, really bad for the 49ers all year long. Week 1, I can kind of explain it away that on our first drive of the game, I think that the touchdown to George Kittle in the red zone. Then Kittle, he leaves the game. Then Juwan Jennings, another good red zone player, then he leaves the game. So having to adjust on the fly, never easy when basically, 2 of your 3 top weapons, maybe 2 of your best weapons in the red zone are just gone mid-game. Kind of difficult to rebound from. But overall, I think Shanahan come up with a good game plan, especially in the red zone. I'd like to think that this whole week they're doing a lot of red zone work, because when you go into New Orleans, the crowd is going to be insane. The crowd is going to be loud. If you can convert touchdowns, just get points in the red zone. But ideally, you're getting a lot more touchdowns than settling for field goals. Try and get the crowd out of the game. And I think the Niners can come away with the win. I do say 24-17, the 49ers win this week 2 matchup. So there you have it, guys. That is my preview for the week 2 game when the Niners travel to the Big Easy, New Orleans. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you agree with my assessment? Are there any matchups or anything that I didn't cover in this video that you want to talk about with regards to the preview of this matchup? Leave them in the comments below. I do respond to each and every comment. I'm gonna head on out of here, guys, but before I go, I'm gonna say two things, and that is the butt counts, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.